Welcome everyone to social media, class number 3 for Northeastern District's Online Leadership Academy, a historical event for at least for the Northeastern District. Thank you all for participating. It's been interesting getting all of this organized, starting originally as a in-person physical leadership academy at Worcester State, and here we are in something totally different. And I want to welcome our instructors this evening. Katie McDonald from BHS staff is in the membership department, recruitment and retention specialist, and also Amy Rose, who is on the BHS staff, who is the social media and communications manager. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the ladies and let them run the class. And I will try to be quiet. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. I think, first of all, I just want to make sure everyone can see the slide that's up with the class title. Good, great.
Yes, looks good.
Great. So I think, Katie, I can't remember what we decided, if you were going to start us off or if I was going to start us off.
You go ahead.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone to our two-part class. Katie and I are so excited. One, because we get to teach together for the first time and we're just really jazzed about it. So it's always so much fun to collaborate with other people, and especially on staff, and we're just really off the charts excited about it. So you have to excuse our unbridled enthusiasm. And secondly, just to have so many people who are interested in learning more about social media and learning how to level up and maybe learn some new skills or grow or get better. So thank you so much for finding this important and joining us today. So this is us. We'll take a second to introduce ourselves. My name is Amy Rose. I've been working at BHS for about 5 years now. Maybe even 6 almost. And I work as the social media manager, and I manage digital communications. So anything that you see on your phone from BHS, I probably had something to do with. I run our social media channels and don't create every single email, but I sure look at it. So thank you for everyone who reads the Livewire and opens our emails. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just really excited to share some lessons learned and things that you might want to try on your own channels.
Yeah, and hi everyone, I'm Katie McDonald. I'm the BHS Recruitment and Retention Manager, and I'm a member of BHS and Sweet Ads, which makes me very happy. And I sing with GQ, yay, love them. And you'll be seeing a lot of us in this presentation. And Parkside Melody, which is the companion chorus to Parkside Harmony. I'm the music coordinator for them and the bass section leader. So we are, like Amy said, we're so stoked to be here. Thank you guys. And we really just have one little rule, and that's basically use the chat a lot, please. Like me and Amy are both like a bajillion % extroverts. So we love to hear comments. We love to hear questions. We love to hear things. So please use the chat for questions. We will have a designated Q&A at the top of, or like right before the hour's end. So you will get like a structured time to do that. But if you have like kind of an on the fly question that has to do with a slide, please feel free to answer it in the chat. I will monitor the chat because Amy's obviously our amazing content expert, and I'm just a millennial who kind of like watches social media happen. So we have a fun presentation worked out where Amy knows everything, and I'm just like, this is how these posts make me feel as a barbershopper. And it may sound weird, but you'll get it. So yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Katie is my best promoter of all things. She is fantastic all on her own, so don't let her fool you. Okay, so let's jump right in. Does social media matter? Of course, we're going to say yes, because that's the theme of the class. So if you think it doesn't matter, hang on and let us tell you why. Using social media channels as a group, as an organization, as a chorus, as a chapter, as all of those things, does several things all at once. It shows that you're an established entity. We are real. You know, think about if you're researching a new restaurant or a new store or a new place you want to go, you probably look maybe on Facebook first, or you look on some sort of social media to see, are they like a real place? Do they have some sort of online presence, maybe a website that has their menu or something? Are they a real thing? And it just kind of, you know, to quote Pinocchio, you can be a real boy if you're live on social media. So it adds that level of trust. It also gives you an opportunity to engage with people, right? The social part of social media is being active and engaging with people and saying, hey, come on a journey with us. We have a lot of great things to say, and you're gonna really have a good time or be moved or learn something, any of those things, depending on your mission. But you're saying, follow us. You wanna know what we have to say. In the recent past, you were also creating experiences. We're not doing that quite so much in the same way now, where they're not physical experiences, but gosh, what would we be doing without all of those virtual videos, or even this Zoom can be considered a form of social media, or chat rooms, or connecting on Facebook, or all of those things. Those are still experiences. And so it still counts where you can say, hey, get to know us, meet us, connect with us. Lastly, it gives you an opportunity to show that you're a welcoming community of people. And it's a vehicle for maybe bringing even more people into that place with you. We've heard from chapters all over the place and choruses that have had people join them who've only been to rehearsals on Zoom, which sounds crazy, but it's because they made a welcome environment. They were connecting just as they normally would in a big room together. You really can still create the vibe that people will want to be a part of. And that's the whole idea. So Katie's going to talk a little bit about some examples of all of those 4 things.
Yes, and to do a tiny humble brag, Parkside Melody is one of those people. We have had 3 people pass virtual auditions, and they have never stepped foot in a physical Parkside Melody rehearsal, which is bonkers. So, all right, guys. So those 3 things: trust, follow, meet, join. If we kind of look at those as action items, honestly, the BHS Facebook is a really good example of that, because you want your social media to show off all those things really quickly. So I highlighted the little areas that kind of mention that. So nonprofit organization, you can trust us. Follow us, like, you know, how many, with 33,000 people liking us at the moment, you might want, we got some good stuff going on, so you might want to hang out. Meet us, maybe in, you know, while we're not as much coming to events, it's, hey, look at all this amazing digital content we have, and join us, any form of signing up and become a member, sing with us, you know, interact with us in Marketplace, or learn from us. There's just so many things that you can do. That kind of just is shown off at the very beginning of our BHS Facebook page.
Right, so setup is really important. We'll touch on that very briefly, but you can see you want to kind of have those fields populated, right? Just so that you can get right out front and people know who you are and what you're about.
For sure.
That's great. So we'll just do a basic overview, since this is 101, because you do have choices, right? So the go-to right now is still pretty much Facebook for a few reasons. One, because most of our audience, as the big picture barbershop audience, when you look at age demographics and what social media people use, most people are really on Facebook. So that's where you'll get the biggest bang for your buck when you think about how multifunctional Facebook is. Using advertising is really inexpensive and easy. You get to really engage with a lot of people all in one place. And it's easy to post links, it's easy to post video, it's easy to post a lot of different types of content. So you're broadening your audience, you're using it in multiple ways. You can post photos and post videos and post links to things. And you can really use it as kind of your hub for doing business. You know, there are a lot of entities that don't bother as much with a website anymore and use Facebook either as the first place where they build their online presence, or use it completely instead of a website. Now, That's not to say you should, but you can. And it's a great way to kind of start things out. So a lot of quartets don't bother with the website anymore because they don't need it. And they add it when they need it, right? So that's kind of the multifunctional piece on Facebook. Instagram is super fun. That is my favorite social media platform because it's image driven and it's about photography and it's about the way things look. And I'm a true creative and I'm a visual person and I love like playing with those things with filters and taking great pictures and collages and all of that fun stuff. It also, Instagram also comes with filters, so it makes all of your photography look real great. Yep. Facebook doesn't give you a helping hand on that. So one thing that I like to recommend is establishing both a Facebook and an Instagram account. You create your images in Instagram and then you can link those accounts together and your Instagram posts both to Instagram and Facebook. So your photos always look great. You get two things at once. The captioning works. It's pretty awesome. And your pictures look a little bit more solid, right? Instagram skews younger. It has limits to links. It's really hard to show like links that people can click in Instagram. That is kind of the limitation on that. And it's big personality. So you can really show a lot of personality things because it's slightly more casual. Because Instagram is now also owned by Facebook, it does have some advertising opportunities there. You can, if you go into Facebook ads, you can often choose to post on your Instagram channel as well. So there's a lot of connectivity between those two platforms. So I think it's really worth doing both because you can cross post and get you can kind of double your pleasure on that. I do find on the BHS channels that we have higher engagement on Instagram, more people liking things, and that audience skews a lot younger. So by using both, you're kind of covering the whole spectrum of people. So that's helpful. Twitter is also an option. I have not found in my professional life that the barbershop audience is really hanging out on Twitter. Twitter is a little bit more about headlines and news and things like that, short bursts of information. I utilize the BHS Twitter for like announcements or linking articles and things, but it's not something that we're actively really pushing on, mostly because our audience isn't there. So we don't want to spend time and resources there. We're choosing instead to build where we're strong so that we can magnify that instead of trying to prop up a thing that doesn't really serve our purpose. And so don't be afraid to make those choices and decide if something isn't working or you're not getting the reach or whatever. You know, you don't have to be everywhere on everything. So Katie will talk about some of these examples that we've pulled.
Yeah, so basically just to give you an idea of the layouts, these were screenshots from my phone where, you know, basically Facebook, I use GQ as an example. Like Amy said, most quartets start out on Facebook for free and choruses, again, just such an, if you're going to learn anything from this class, focus on Facebook would be my biggest suggestion. And then Instagram, the lovely thing about linking it, the girls in Adrenaline, a SAI quartet, they're unbelievable. And at their Instagram, I love it so much. If you want excellent Instagram content with really good pictures taken, check out those girls, follow them on Instagram. And then, like Amy said, couldn't find too many people on Twitter, but Main Street was there. Thanks, guys. Really cool. So definitely check them out.
And you'll notice from the description options are different on each platform, so you can kind of format them differently, but they all have them. They're all say, GQ's example doesn't show that section because it's on the side, but they've all got like, this is who we are. And that's really important. That's great. So getting started, you can break it down because it's super overwhelming. Break it down into 3 things. Make a plan, build your team, set the tone, which means decide about what you want to say and how you want to say it, right? So we'll dig into that a little bit. So making a plan. We've already talked about the platform. You want to pick the one that you like to use is always a good guideline, but If you're just going to do one, Katie's absolutely right. I would absolutely do Facebook because most barbershop and acapella people are there, right? If you already have things going and you feel like you have too many channels to manage, look at what is working and narrow it down to that. Second is content type. So think about what types of content come easily to your group. Obviously for singers, we think, oh, a video of us singing a song is super easy. And we also have to think about, oh, wait, there's copyright. So sometimes relying solely on videos of performance actually shuts us down a little bit, because if you want to be copyright compliant, there's kind of a few extra things you need to do. So really, I encourage groups to think about photos. If you're going to do video, it can be warm-ups, it can be videos of a tag, it can be interviews with your members, it can be testimonials from someone who's at your show, it can be little video of backstage, it can be the director talking about why he or she or they chose a specific song because they are trying to introduce this type of energy into the chorus repertoire, or we're using it for this themed show and this is what we're looking for. Any of those things. So don't feel like video of performances is the only usable content, because it's not, and we'll show you lots of examples of that. Think about the skills within your group. Do you have someone who loves taking video? Great. Have them do that. If you have someone who loves taking pictures, great, have them do that. If you have a great writer, that's who you're going to use for a lot of, if you want to do some writing and maybe you do more stories about the quartet and it's not as visual. Look around inside your group and see who can do what, and see also what's going to show your group off the best. If you're a small chorus, sometimes your best moments are when your chorus isn't necessarily standing on the risers, but it's when they're connecting with each other. And that might be rehearsal behind the scenes. That might be, instead of the whole group in a shot, it might be a tighter image of just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people singing together. Because then you can get kind of closer in, especially for a big, huge chorus of 100 people. If the only images you share are the whole chorus, you can't see any faces. You can't see the joy. So crop that in and get in tight and really make it more personal. Right? Does that make sense? Great.
And hey, Amy, we do have a question. Someone wanted to know, is there a copyright concern with tags?
A couple things about tags. If someone in your group wrote the tag, you're good because you can get permission. If you know the person who wrote the tag, great. You can send them a note and say, hey, we'd love to record and post your tag, and they can give you permission. A lot of tags are also public domain. So if they're from a song that is in the public domain, those are okay. Mostly it's about asking permission. And also I will say that officially, I encourage you always to seek copyright permission for any music that you post on your social media. Also, Facebook lawyers are not going to beat down your door for posting a 20-second tag. So use your best discretion, stay legal. If you can seek permission for tags, always do. And most people are eager to share. And officially, seek copyright permission for all music that you are singing on your channel. Okay, great. So, and then the last element is frequency. What makes sense for both your platform and your life. So if you know that your social media person, whoever that is, whether it's you or someone else, is doing this, you know, volunteer and they're super busy and whatever, don't set up a daily posting schedule, right? Because that's just not going to work for anyone. So think about how often can we post? Do we need to create that content ourselves, or are we sharing the content of others? What makes sense for our platform? And we'll talk about the content things in a minute, but really make a plan of around frequency that is manageable. Start small, because you can always add more, but it's a little defeating feeling when you start ambitious and then you have to pare back, which is not a failure, but it can kind of feel like it. So give yourself some grace and start small. So as you're doing that, we've talked about the importance of setting up your page. You want a current bio, you want updated contact information, you want good photography. My pro tip on photography is that 5 images of your ensemble that are awesome, high resolution, everyone looks great, everyone feels amazing, is always going to beat out 75 photos with bad lighting, no one looks good, and it's just not exciting. So if you end up using those 5 photos over and over and over again, don't worry about it because they look amazing.
And that way you've branded yourself with those awesome photos. So that's worth it.
Yeah. Yes, it inspires confidence. It says we're professional. It says a lot of things. That picture is really saying those 1,000 words, right? So make sure that you're committed to that. The recipe I suggest is 3 posts a week. 1 post is a video, either one you make or a link to a video that aligns with what your chorus or quartet is doing or that you like or that you can tie in to your group, right? That could be a video from the Barbershop Harmony Society YouTube channel, say. I think there are a few good ones on there. And it could be, you know, we're so excited to start learning this song. Here's X group singing it, you know, whatever. That's a great post. GNU, Great Northern Union, does stuff like that all the time. They'll say, oh, we're having signature on our show. Here's our favorite song of theirs. That's a great post because everyone gets to enjoy an awesome signature video. And who doesn't like that, right? And then GNU is sharing, is creating interesting content, and it's everybody wins, right? 1 photo, that can be your photo. It can be, again, a photo of something else that aligns with the messaging or what you've got going on in your group. And 1 article, that can be something from, oh, I don't know, the BHS blog, or it can be an educational article about singing. It can be an article, right now, it can be like something about singing safely. It can be a news item about a group in your community that's doing something fun, or an interview, or anything like that. Any of these things can be content you create, or it can be content from other people. And that's the important thing to remember. You don't have to make all of this. Lastly, like and share. Be generous with your likes, be generous with shares, comment on other groups, especially the music organizations in your community. Not just the barbershop groups, but all of the music people that are doing things in your community, because they will in turn see you and say, oh, this group is really supportive of us. We better follow and be supportive of them. And so it's gonna lift all those, that rising tide will lift all boats. So Katie, talk about our examples here.
Yes, so especially for GQ, we will alternate photos and videos pretty much all the time. Occasionally articles, I'll say. So honestly, anything, Allie here is singing a Barry part in this first video all the way to the left. But it was super cute because it was her physically singing in quarantine and people were really excited to hear about it. Just hear somebody sing, if that makes sense. I bet it does. Why did I say that? Of course it does. And then photos of us being weirdos and like commiserating about, you know, regional not happening. Just, you know, these are photos from each different years and things like that. And then this article, BHS, oh, Amy, she picked my article. How sweet. Thanks, boo. Yeah, so definitely, you know, sharing kind of like scholarly good stuff. It's, yeah, and the point being, you don't have to do this all by yourself. You can share and or like as the group. That's the thing that you gotta like make sure you're doing, not as Katie McDonald, but as GQ. And then everybody starts to notice, hey, who's being active and like, you know, also liking our stuff. And it's such a wonderful community feel. And as a barbershopper, it's really just, I'm happy to see quartets are doing literally anything. And whether it's a like commiserating, oh man, we miss regional, or Allie singing a silly Barry line. I don't care because I'm seeing people like thinking about barbershop, and that's all I want.
Exactly. Cool. So this is just a little bit of review. Pick your platform, set your schedule, find your formula, go forth. I would talk a lot about planning for events, but we're not really doing events right now, and I'd like to make sure that we get to questions and things, so I'm going to skip that for now. It's important. Pop quiz. Who should run your social media channels?
Everybody should answer that in the chat. Go do it.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yes. Go.
Look at that.
Everyone.
All right, what's the verdict there, Katie?
Let's see. A member who can keep up with it. All.
Repeat the
Someone
question.
young. Many.
Please repeat the question.
The
Who
question.
should run your social media?
Any enthusiast. I like that.
Ooh, that is perfect. I'm going to jump on that because that is exactly the answer. The people who are the most excited about social media. Often your younger members actually don't, at this point, your members under 30 might not even use Facebook, and they don't always even enjoy it, Katie McDonald. So, right? That's very, very common. So assuming that just because people are young, that they're interested, active, and enthusiastic and skilled at social media isn't always going to be true. The person who should run your social media is the person who loves posting on social media, who understands social media, and who hangs out there because they know what's going on. They know what trends are. They know what's fun. They know what people are doing. So look around and just kind of find out who the people in your group are really active on social and see if they're interested. Now, this doesn't have to be one person, and sometimes it's best if it's not, especially for a chorus.
And
So,
Amy, do you mind? There's actually a pretty good question in the chat. It's
great.
and Bill just asked, how much time in a week does GQ work on posting? So, Bill, this is actually going to further emphasize Amy's point. So, as we've established, it isn't me. How funny that I'm the one helping with this class. But that's kind of our point, because Allie in GQ, the girl in the video all the way to the left on the last slide, she's the one who is on social media literally all the time, engaging with people. And technically she's the second oldest in GQ. So, but that's just her thing. She's actually pretty introverted, and I'm not. I would rather talk to people in person. She loves talking to people through the internet, and she's very in the know. She follows every barbershop anything, and really understands the voices and the content in that way. But if you were to say how much time per week, so her goal is tries to do once a day. It typically ends up being one every other day. But really the biggest thing is, and Amy will get into this too, it's really the feeling of like organic posting. And just like something that Allie sees that makes a great post. And occasionally me, Amanda, and Katie G will be like, this would make a good post, but then she's already like done it because she's that good at it. So you got to find that person in your group that is active, very, very active, and just please do that. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, and that's easier for quartets because you can just say, hey, person who loves this, take care of our social media channels. Mm-hmm. And if I'm in your quartet, I will say, great, because I didn't want you to do it anyway, because I want to do all of it because I love it. And here we go, right?
Oh.
If you're in a chorus, that is a lot. For a chorus or a district or whatever size ensemble, you can build a team of people because there are 3 different ways to engage and kind of participate in social media. First is gathering the content. So that is going where things happen, looking for photos, making the video, all of that. That's kind of quick. So Allie's scrolling through and she's seeing things that she can share as GQ, or that she thinks, oh, our audience would like this. And it doesn't take her a lot of extra time because she's already there. Mm-hmm. She's not thoughtfully planning out. She's thoughtfully planning out some of it, but most of it is she's seeing a thing that says, oh, that's our group. I'm going to share it right now. And with a quartet or a smaller group, you can really be nimble that way, right? So that content gathering. So for what that would look like for a larger group is maybe there's if your group is on Slack, maybe there's a Slack channel that's about social media and people can share links. Maybe you set up a Google document that everyone's in. You say, hey, if you see a cool link that you think we should share on our channels, paste it here. It could be that you have 3 or 4 people that have permission to post on your channel and you say, when you see something, share it. That's a little, as a social media manager, that would be slightly terrifying for me, but you know your group. And so if that fits your group, great. The second way to do this is more of an editor. So that's someone who has an eye for detail, who likes to edit photos, who's a great writer, who can take all of those pieces of content, receive it and say, great, so now I'm going to use this here and I'm going to use here, and this would be great for Wednesday because Wednesday is National Ice Cream Day, and da 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 da, and they can build out a little calendar and know what's going on and use a scheduling tool. And so they could sit down for maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday, get in their scheduling tool, which we'll talk about later, and go through and schedule a whole bunch of posts and then walk away, and then they just post, and then you look at it and you say, oh, that thing I posted that I picked a week ago, and it feels amazing. So highly recommend that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. Lastly, you could have a person whose sole job is taking the content that the editor created and doing that scheduled posting. So if you're, maybe you have one person doing, or a team doing the gathering and the editing, and then you have another person who is all about spreadsheets, who wants to like have the content calendar, and we post on Wednesdays, and they're not on the front lines, but they're just keeping that train moving and making sure things are consistent. So you can find people who fit that puzzle, and you can totally construct it different ways. It could be, this is our photographer, and that's their thing, and we're gonna use their pictures for social, and then they give it to the editor, and the editor creates the post and schedules it. However those pieces work, there is not a wrong way. You just find what works for your group. And it takes a little experimentation. And what if you are all of those people, which is common, and is kind of the thing that freaks everyone out, right? So my advice to you and encouragement to you is that you will not die from this. It will be okay. It's possible, but you have to really prioritize. So this I wrote kind of with events in mind. So I'm thinking strongly about, you know, the days when I was like capturing all the things at International, which it's impossible for me to be at all of the things, right? So I'm prioritizing. I am focusing on the 1 or 2 channels that have the most reach. I'm recruiting people who will send me content. So I'm saying, hey, Marketplace crew, if you see something really cool going down in Marketplace while I'm over at the contest, grab a picture, text it to me, and I'll work it in. Same thing about like the membership desk. Hey, the year we opened up our membership, it was like, oh my gosh, if women are joining for the first time and someone's standing next to their dad who's been a member for 50 years and they're all crying, like, take a picture of that. We want to see that. And I'm not going to be there because it's the middle of the quartet finals and that's just not possible, right? So make sure that you kind of have a little posse of spies basically sending you great pictures. You can also choose to, instead of posting and managing things in real time, you can do recaps. So on a show day, for example, remember those? If you have, much like any member of a chorus, 16 different jobs you're doing, and one of them is social, if you can say, everyone just take pictures, take little videos of each other, and then the week after the show, they send them all to you, and then you spend the whole next week just say, oh, here's a throwback post to this, and this happened at our show, and this happened at our show, and it was amazing, and you should have been there, or whatever that is. You can always recap at the end. So if it's too overwhelming to live, to do all of those things at the same time, don't. But try to be at least timely about it so you can collect everything and then follow up fairly quickly. And then if you are at an event, make sure that you eat and have someone to bring you food and like take a nap at about 4. because
Yep.
that matters. Don't ask me how I know. Great. So some tools I would recommend. Canva. Canva will change your life. Every slide you see in this presentation was made on Canva. It is amazing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide if Katie will let me talk about it, because I'm very excited. Another tool.
Yes, you will.
Another tool recommend is an app. It's called Layout. There's also many, many other collage apps. There's Pick Collage and a whole bunch of phone apps so you can make images, and we'll show examples of that. And then I talked before about social scheduling. At BHS, we use Hootsuite, but there's a ton of social scheduling tools and platforms. I believe that Hootsuite does have a free option. And there are many others. If you Google social media scheduling, you'll get a ton, and you can kind of look at those. Try a free trial, see what you think. It's great. It will be life-changing. So just as a quick example, these were all made in Canva. There's no Photoshop. There's none of those skills, and you can do this really quickly. And I did not use a template on any of these, but in the slides, those are all from a template. So you can say, okay, I'm doing an Instagram post. You can pick that size. It'll say Instagram size, and then it'll show you 50 different templates, and you can say, ooh, I like that one. That looks really good. And then you just kind of plug in your text and put in your images, and it's super easy, and it looks so great. And it really amplifies what you're doing. If you want to add text to a photo, this is hands down the easiest way to do it. You drag in your photo, you write some text, pick your font, position it around, download it, post it. It's great. There's a phone app, but designing graphics on your phone is not fun. So it's possible, but that's definitely a tablet or a laptop or a desktop activity, because you can do it on your phone, but it's mind-bending.
And Amy, there's actually, for anybody who's looking for a show flyer or a, hey, come join us at rehearsal flyer, or basically a flyer that looks amazing, we do have virtual chapter visits that include one of our marketing team members named Journey, and she'll explain how to basically use Canva. So if you guys want to look as amazing as Amy has in these slides and all of these images, seriously consider doing that, because it's gonna just raise your brand so much.
You can do your show program, you can do flyers. They have templates for a million things. So canva.com, you can look at all the templates, and it's really amazing, and it's just such a huge time saver. So Katie, talk about Pick Collage a little bit.
Yes, actually, I do know about this one. We do a lot of Pick Collages with GQ, and same with a lot of, it's just such a great way to, put together a bunch of things. There's really fun things you can do with them. I would say, I love this one of Blair getting on the board, and just that way everything's just condensed and you don't have to scroll through pictures. GQ especially uses it for birthday posts. Allie will just take goofy or fun or silly photos of all of us for our wonderful birthday posts, but Pick Collages are great. And any sort of life event, I would highly suggest, if you're promoting either a director's wedding or something, or a member's birthday, do that. Yeah. Absolutely. A show photos, yes, put them in.
Yep. Great. Voice and tone matters a lot. We have so much to say. I'm trying to fit everything in, so I abbreviate this a little bit, but it's important to just take a minute and think about the voice of your ensemble, what that brand is, right? So BHS operates as we are a bit of an expert. We're kind of a barbershop expert, so in our voice. We're also it's a little bit education, but it's a little more formal. It's not real chummy, but it's enthusiastic. Right? We've also have set guidelines for what types of content we post, how we moderate our channel, who is allowed to post. We've made all of those decisions up front so that it's very clear if we run into an issue, who to talk to, who the admin is, should something be shared and posted? Should it not? Does it not belong on our channel? And not so much because it's inappropriate. I mean, you're not going to post inappropriate things, but sometimes it is a matter of, will our audience understand this? Does this make sense to our audience? You know, is it relevant, right? So I encourage people to just kind of think about those things as you create your plan and just make some decisions and document it. So then you have a working document to kind of go back to that you can adjust and make changes. So this is just an example. I love GQ's voice so much because it's casual, it's funny. Katie, I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, GQ is not formal, basically ever. And maybe that's how your course is. And so seriously, this kind of we don't understand what our best friends are doing, but they're doing something to raise money for, their Harmony Explosion camp. So please donate, oh my gosh, that one. I love that one too. But, of course, BHS being the maker of all barbershop, definitely
not all,
much more formal and safety, singing safely and all those good webinars that Marty's a part of, which we're so proud of. But that obviously has to come with a more formal tone because this is, kind of defining the history of where we're headed. So always you can probably make a blend of the two, but be sure, the group is clear. We know that Allie's virtually never going to be formal. And that's just how we are. If your chorus wants that or your group wants a more professional, definitely set those guidelines, absolutely.
And so I like these two examples together because you couldn't switch the tone on them. Because if BHS starts talking about like this, I mean, we love Insta Classic and they raised a ton of money, which is really exciting. Our audience has no idea what a video game live stream is about. Mostly a segment of our audience thinks it's awesome and understands it. Most of our audience is like, I don't even know what's happening here. And so, and the same on the reverse. If we were super casual about the, COVID information for people, it doesn't work because we lose that authority. People don't take it seriously. Both of these voices are entirely appropriate for the content that's being shared. And that's another pairing you want to think about too. Cool. So at the end of the day, there are two things that are true and they're a little bit contradictory. The voice of your social media represents who you are as an ensemble and what you believe in. It matters a lot. And it's just barbershop. So it's okay to be a little silly and be casual and not take yourself so seriously as a group. Finding the balance of those things, caring about details, working out things ahead of time as far as tone and voice and types of content, being professional is great, and allowing your social media to be fun and full of personality and not getting too wrapped up about it is equally important. So it's a little bit of a duality, but I think if you have a balance of both, you're probably gonna do real well. The most important thing is, don't freak out. If something goes wrong, take a moment, breathe, phone a friend who cares as much as you do, calm down, then decide what to do. Deleting is not always the best course of action. Often it's engaging with kindness or clarifying without defending or providing more information. If you've made a mistake, own it. If you need to delete a post, you might even think about, or a comment. More often it's a comment. Like if you accidentally make a weird comment as your quartet, and one of your quartet members gets mad, you go in as yourself, delete the comment, go in as yourself. Hey, misposted that. That was me, this person speaking, and move on. It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. I know I have on our social channels. It's not fun, but you learn from it, and it's really okay as long as you're honest, you don't panic, and you don't react in fear. Consistently kind and supportive gets you really far, even when social media as a whole is completely insane and terrible. So don't let the vibe on social control what you do on your channels, right? Cool. We didn't leave a ton of time for questions, but we do have a little bit of time at the end. So we'd love, Katie, if you've got any burning questions that we could answer.
Yeah. So, all right, friends, this is where, if you wouldn't mind just throwing your questions into the chat. I think I've done a couple of them for the live with Amy, but I have seen a couple people in here talking about meetup.com.
Oh,
while, that we can kind of relate it back to social media, I'd say, but I would say probably advertising that your ensemble is on Meetup is a possibility on social. And yes, I have heard a lot of choruses like have great success with that. And of course I'm sure, I haven't personally used it, I'm so sorry, but I'm sure there's a way to like kind of talk about your virtual Zoom rehearsals and things like that. So definitely check that out and see if that's a good one.
Yeah, and I will say that I've heard from people that love Meetup and they will never stop advertising on Meetup because they get a ton of people. And I've also heard from people who say, we did Meetup for a year and we didn't have one person. So it's a little bit dependent on, I think, your area, how many people are using it in your area. So go for it, try it. And if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because something else will.
Absolutely. So we have a question, or it's more of a comment from Jesse about having a bunch of Zoom meetings and finding it best to have a Zoom master, I love that, who deals with the technology and follows chat posts, and a separate MC who runs the meeting. Literally, Jesse, yes, that's literally what me and Amy are doing right now. I'm kind of the Zoom master in a way, watching the chat, talking with you guys, while Amy does most of the talking because she's the content expert. She's the MC, right? Yeah, I would say for your, for your virtual.
So it's,
yes. So it is nice and separate. Everybody, we each know our role, and it's just so helpful. I would say too, that for, if I put on my recruitment retention hat real quick, that a guest seeing like smooth rehearsals going and transitions and directors being able to direct and someone else sorting the breakout rooms and someone else doing this, and then someone from the music team teaching something, and then other people, so that they can get a variety of what y'all are doing. From my experience with Parkside Melody, that's been hands down the greatest thing you can show to a guest. And a lot of our social media for Parkside Melody, because we have a lot of younger members, is honestly Instagram stories. So I would say we post about our past rehearsals all the time. And we post like us doing warm-ups, literally just the Zoom image. Like, as silly as that sounds, people are like, holy crap, they're actually meeting. That's cool. And everyone is very engaged in that way. So,
and I'd also say it's really important to have people like Diane and David who are not speaking, but are managing all of the anything that is currently right now at this moment going horribly wrong that we do not know about, because we don't have to take care of it.
Pretty great. Joel asks, how do I get people to a virtual meeting? Might be a different class, but we can absolutely relate it back to social. I mean, a lot of people, if you're being super active on your social and you're showing off what you're doing, literally screenshots of your Zoom rehearsals and saying what you're doing, so that people, honestly, a lot of your patrons or former members who are probably on Facebook and already liked your page, they're like, oh wow, they're actually doing something, that's cool. And that kind of idea is just very, very cool. Definitely using social media to get more people to your rehearsals, you can absolutely do that. But also Canva, use Canva to make a flyer of join us for a virtual rehearsal. And that's kind of like a guest night kind of option.
A great page, just on that, to piggyback on that, Katie, a great page, a chorus to follow who does a really, really great job of that is a BHS chorus called the Seattle Sea Chordsmen, SEACHORDSMEN. They do a great job of talking about coming up at our next virtual rehearsal. we're having this person, and they'll do a thing, and then they'll say, here we are during our rehearsal, and then say, hey, this is what, and they'll do a quote of, this is what Eric Dalby said at our rehearsal where he was a guest. Look at their channel for an example of how to not just kind of feel like you're saying the same thing over and over again, but some different ways to capture that content and talk about your virtual rehearsals, because there is a lot of content there. It's just kind of, you have to work a little harder for it. The other thing I would say is a lot of groups are doing, throwing in different activities. So one night they'll do, okay, we're gonna have a rehearsal night, but we're all gonna bring our favorite campfire song. And each person is gonna take a turn leading a song. We're still gathering, we're still connecting, we're still singing, but we can be maybe mixing it up a little bit. Or having a BHS staffer come for free and like guest speak on something. Having another, combining your rehearsal with another chapter, just creating interesting things to mix it up a little bit, because if it is the same thing every week, you're gonna see a bigger drop off than if it's kind of always something different. So reach out to the courses around you and ask them what they're doing, because they might have great ideas too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We even have, for those virtual chapter visits, like Amy was saying, you can actually request, I think, me, Joe Cerruti, and I want to say maybe Dusty, because he directs Music City Chorus, Dusty Schleier. You can have us come and talk about virtual rehearsal ideas, because here's the deal, friends. If you're not giving anybody a product, they're not coming. So we need to make sure our Zoom rehearsals are really great. And I honestly, guys, there's been some great ideas in the chat. Check them out with everybody. So continue. I'm not going to necessarily say them, but like, yes, absolutely. The How to Be a Great Voice Part series. Oh my gosh. I'm a bass, but I would go to listen to about like how to be a great tenor. You know, like that's really cool for me to hear what is so special about tenors, and you know, things like that.
We're very special, Katie. We're very, very special.
Amy's a tenor, guys. Let's see. Yeah, and just like amazing, programming with some barbershop friends. Absolutely, we are. And also remember, those virtual chapter visits with BHS are free. Like that's incredible. And here's the thing, I love doing them. Everyone on staff loves doing them, because we get to actually connect with you guys, where in pre-COVID, it was kind of expected we did it in person, but that was so much harder and so expensive to do. And now we can hang out, and that part's awesome. Talent, does interchapter Zoom bombing or talent shows make sense? Yes, Paul, definitely do. Those are so much fun. Or just stupid human tricks. I've done that. That's fun. Yeah, so you guys are just going back and forth with awesome ideas of virtual chapter stuff. That's really where the bulk of it is. And once you get good content, screenshot it, video it. Who's someone here on this call is being the video editor, right? I can't remember his name. Glenn, maybe?
Yep, that's me. I'm good.
Hey, good job, Glenn. You can take little snippets of the coolest part of rehearsal and just throw it on your social and be like, look what we do. It's actually pretty dope. Like, absolutely do that, and you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna get people. I really think, you know, if you present it well, you're gonna get people messaging you and being like, what are you doing? Can I hang out?
Yeah, invite, open up to guests. Have a virtual guest night. Like, have you? Ambassadors of Harmony has done like open rehearsals. So like, tell your whole chorus to go. Say, hey, some other chorus that we admire is doing an open rehearsal. Let's attend as a chorus and all go together. Or, you know, things like that. Just people are so hungry for connection, are so hungry for something different, are so hungry to learn. It can't be about group singing right now. So instead of trying to make it be about group singing, let's throw open the door and don't worry about that constraint, but what are the things that we couldn't normally do? And let's do those things.
Yeah. And awesome. One last thing, Anthony, you're asking, would you recommend using any Facebook paid ad features to get the word out for a chorus? And we will actually discuss that in our second hour. So just wanted to let you know.